from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
Tonight's episode of Conversations with Coach La is brought to you by Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. Do you need to delegate some tasks, or are you looking to declutter a space? Well, assign it to her. Introducing Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. She's currently accepting new clients and offers a variety of back office services depending on your needs. Contact Shamina at 857-273-1528, 857-273-1528, or email shaminaaustin@gmail.com for more information.
Conversations with Coach La.
Coach La, your favorite neighborhood therapist, having real hard convos, contrasting pessimists. Generational trauma explored, broach delicate, getting to the root of the pain, healing impediments. Every week signs copay free lessons. Bet on self, trust the process, no questions. Feel your feels, journey to be healed, no stressing. Conversations with Coach La's now in session.
Smokehouse. It's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach La. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just calling. Conversations with Coach La. La 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 la. Conversations with Coach La. La 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 la. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, I will always get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just calling. Conversations with Coach La. La 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 la. Coach La. La 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 la.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Coach La. I really do love my intro song. It makes me so happy. Shout out to Nancy and Jay Hunt for producing that for me. I appreciate y'all. We got a jam-packed show. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have lots of laughs tonight. We're going to talk about a serious topic, but we're going to have a good time. We're going to laugh. I'm officially back on Facebook, all you beautiful people. That's right. Coach La is officially back on Facebook. Shout out to the Urban Heat. Shout out to Marv Neal for helping me navigate my account being suspended for 180 days. What did your favorite around the way therapist do to be suspended for 6 months? But anyway, so we must pivot. We must make the show go on as we do. So after 10 days of appealing, I decided, you know what? The show don't stop. So I'm back. There's a brand new Facebook page. Please accept my friend request. It is really me. Shout out to the 100 of you that have already signed up to be my friend in the last 2 days. I appreciate y'all. Let's get me back to monetization status. Show Facebook they can't shut a good sister down. You can't fight influence, baby. So it's been a real low-key Sunday for me. Finished up this month doing 2 really great events. As you guys know, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I did an event with Four Corners Wellness Yoga Studio with my co-partner, Mr. James Lambert III. That was a great event. So we've been really, now I've been taking it easy. June is a tough month because this is the month my dad actually transitioned, June 10th, 2018. So I kind of like take a low profile in June. So tonight's conversation, however, is inspired by my dad in a couple of different ways, because he told me that I could have Quan. Y'all remember Quan? It was with Jerry Maguire, and he was, Rod, and he was talking about Quan, right? Like having it all. So, we started off season 7, digging into the past, right? And sort of looking at generational barriers and learned behaviors and how all of that sort of feeds into our identity and who we are. And then we came back with series 2, where we started to really do some self-work. So now we're in series 3, because I feel like you got to be able to build capacity. You can't stay in your trauma. You can't stay in that mindset of, this is just how I am. I don't know if that is talent. One of the comedians says, who raised you? I forgot who that is, but my next guest might be able to help me remind me of who said who raised you. His name is on the tip of my tongue. But often we get so caught up in our backgrounds and where we came from that we can get stuck there and not realize that we are the narrators and we are the controllers of our destiny. And that's where the whole bet on self concept comes from. So tonight's guest, I got a chance to meet her at Uncle JG. Y'all know Uncle JG. I love me some Uncle JG. So Jonathan Gates does the comedy series that he's been doing for, I don't know, over 2 decades, probably longer than that, because he's been around for a little bit. But he's like Terminator. So many things that happened to Jonathan, and he's still ticking. They can't take him out. It ain't his time yet. So he does the Black Comedy Explosion. And I think this was the time that he had a whole female cast. He might have had a whole female cast, but she stood out to me either way. And this woman is beautiful. She's regal. She's tall. She got a pixie cut and a smile that lights up a room, baby. And she had me dying. I almost peed my pants while she was up there. And so I got a little bit of courage, and I said, you know what? I do a show on the Urban Heat. And I would love to talk to you more about your story, your journey, and how you came to be what we know as Comedy Bae. But her name is Amber James. And she's worked with several comedians. And a lot of these names I'm about to drop, baby, from Tommy Davidson to Michael Blackson, Don D.C. Curry and Michael Collier, Earthquake, Bill Bellamy, just to name a few, and Amanda Seals, and Mike Epps, one of my favorites, and so many more. You can catch her on stage, hosting, performing on a regular basis in her hometown. She's also a visual artist and a fierce entrepreneur that you do not want to underestimate. She's also a beautician, licensed one. So this sister, when I tell you, she just encompasses everything that tonight's conversation is all about, which is how can you balance it and have it all. So I want to bring on Miss Beautiful, Gorgeous, honey. Her lighting is fabulous. She stay fabulous. I swear she must not ever have a bad day. I watch her on her page. She's always fly. So I want to introduce you guys to Amber James, a.k.a. Comedy Bae. I want y'all to give her a nice warm welcome as she comes and sits on the virtual couch with me. What's up, sis?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, girl?
Thank you for that very, very kind introduction. I appreciate
yes,
it.
I have really started to have more courage of asking people that I see and that I admire, and I'm just like, she gonna be like, girl, who you is to come on your show? But you was so sweet. Jonathan was like, yeah, you should go on her show. And of course, it was a couple of months ago when we finally are here. And so the fact that you didn't forget about me, you remembered, and you didn't go all Hollywood on me like, who are you again?
No.
Who you is? Wait a minute, no. I booked what with who? So I'm really, really thankful to have you on the show. My family think I'm corny, but I'm making the comedian laugh, so I feel really good that I get to chuckle. So I always like to ask everyone when they come on the show, this beyond your resume and your bio and your beautiful, beautiful website where you look absolutely stunning, darling.
Thank you.
Who is Amber James, aka Comedy Bae? Because I was trying to figure out how you got that name, so I'm hoping you give me some tea, and we can do how the people say clock that tea.
The clock that tea.
Other people don't know. Like, how did this come about?
Who is the Comedy Bae? So I'm a brand ambassador. I've been in the beauty field for a long time, and a lot of my money was made with my hands and my mind. So I'm always coming up with branding ideas. And how that came about was when I got on stage. It's kind of a long story, but the gist of it all, my sister passed away, and I was kind of heartbroken, and I went to see this psychic lady, uh thinking that my sister maybe had a message beyond the grave or something,
Let's
something.
talk about it. She went to see a psychic, y'all. This is getting juicy. Okay.
I went to
Thank you
see
for
a psychic.
talking some tea. This some tea nobody don't know. Go ahead, give me the tea.
so so I went there because I was desperate. I was grieving so hard. I was anxious to get back to myself, and this girl was like, you need to go see this psychic. She may be able to bring you some peace. So
Oh,
I went to her thinking my sister had a message beyond the grave, but all the psychic kept talking about was comedy, right? She was talking about how I dressed on stage. She was talking about how because I used to hate when the people introduced me, the host, they used to be like, the beautiful, the sexy, and that just used to get on my nerves. I'm like, just say funny, you know what I'm saying? All these other adjectives, say the funny, But the psychic told me, she said, no, honey. She said, and I just went in a little t-shirt and jeans, and she was like, you know how you dress on stage? Keep doing that, because that's how people are going to remember you. And she said, and I know you hate how they introduce you or whatever. She said, but own that. You need to own that. So, I left. My sister ain't had nothing to say to me, child. So I
well,
left. I
maybe
said,
that
well,
was your sister talking through her.
I feel like it was, because from that point I pivoted and started focusing more on comedy, and it helped the grieving process. So when she said that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to brand myself Comedy Bae. Since that's what it was given. Babe, or whatever.
Mhm.
So that's how that brand, because that's not my stage name, it's my brand.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, so that's how that came about.
It's so interesting that your walk into comedy came out of grief.
Hmm.
Because the reason why I started back into radio was out of grief. And
Yeah,
the reason why I started Bet on Self was out of grief. My
yeah,
father used to say, when I used to get down on myself and feel like I wasn't able to do stuff, he would say, baby, you got to bet on yourself. If you
absolutely,
bet on yourself, you'll never, ever, ever lose. So when he
absolutely,
passed away, that became my mantra to get
yes.
through it. That, how you going to bet on yourself today? You got this, bet on yourself. So I started hashtagging it and just putting it on my social media and all of that. And it
Mhm.
helped me to keep myself going.
Yeah,
It
now
wasn't
it's
for
a
me.
brand.
Right. Originally, it wasn't for everybody. It was for me.
Oh, right, right. But you know
Just for
what?
me.
If you can inspire one person from it,
Right.
then it's worth it.
Yeah. And if you know about stages of grief, they tell you that you have to find that anchor and that purpose,
You
because you go
do.
through so many. You go through the bargaining phase of what if I coulda, shoulda, woulda phase, which is the
Yeah.
bargaining phase. You be
Hmm.
angry, sad. Then you get to a place of acceptance. But I think sometimes the acceptance, if you can find a way to remember the person, it,
Yeah.
it keeps you anchored. People go, how do you go do this show every Sunday at 10 o'clock? Because this is like my time that I know my dad is shining. He's smiling up in heaven. He's like, yes, baby, you betting
Yeah.
on yourself. You better keep on doing that radio show. So
I
that keeps
love it.
me going.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's awesome. So you also don't just do comedy. So you are a licensed beautician, and you have a whole nother business that's paparazzi me. Did I say that right?
It's paparazzi ready.
Paparazzi ready. I said, okay,
Yeah.
tell me about that business too.
So it all stemmed. It's so funny how my career being a licensed cosmetologist and comedy came about, because when you're in the beauty industry, you kind of have an extra flair. I'm extra,
Mhm.
and so
Shout
when I
out to us
bought
extra people.
yeah, and so while doing hair, I used to be a platform artist where I would do hair on stage. So
Okay.
they kind of prepared me to get on stage doing comedy too, but I would still have these extravagant outfits or whatever. And so I came up with the brand Paparazzi Ready that my sister and I had together. And it started out where she had the boutique and I had the cosmetics, but of course she passed on, and so I wanted to keep her legacy going
Mhm.
as well. So I came up with Paparazzi Ready, where you all the time, because she used to always say, we going to the gas station. I will put lip gloss on. I'll put earrings on to go to the gas station. You got to be paparazzi ready, baby, at all times. You never know who
I
you're going to
like
see.
that. I
you
like
know.
that.
And so I came up with doing a boutique. I had a brick and mortar store. Of course, COVID and the lockdown end up closing that and going online. But the line of clothing is inspired by me, what I would wear, vacation, stage, and other things. So you just got to be paparazzi ready.
I love that. Well, that was
Thank,
one of the first things I noticed when you performed. One, you're tall and you look like a model already, but you
thank you.
you were stunning. You had on some fire boots. I was like, yes, the whole thing. You want to look at you, right? And then you actually got something to say, and then you actually funny,
Thank
So,
you.
so,
Thank you.
so all of it just really works, and I'm
Yeah.
always admiring and like to connect with other women who are doing dope stuff like that and creating their own lane. So
Yeah.
tonight we're talking about the whole idea of having it all.
Okay.
And I thought that with you having so many different lanes and businesses and having to rebrand and just pivot even after COVID, just you be a great individual to sort of inspire people with some spice of laughter. Because when we
Yeah.
start talking about money people can get weird, and some people don't even like talking about money. They get so uncomfortable.
They
And
do.
women, especially, have the hardest time negotiating their worth, right? And
Mm,
asking for money. We do so much better negotiating for other people, but
yes.
there's all this research that shows that women will typically take the first offer, first salary to be humble, right? To be
Mhm.
sort of like, I'm thankful for what I get. We don't
Right.
take credit for things. Like they got tons of research on this stuff. So I really wanted to talk about that as we think about healing and growth and transformation is how do we have purpose, passion, and paychecks? Because I feel like in my field as a psychotherapist, often people don't want me to talk about money. They don't want me to want to be a millionaire because I'm a helping professional, right? They told
Mhm.
me at school, well, you're not gonna make that much money, going into social work. I said, who told you that? I'm
I
about
know
to
that's
show
right.
y'all. Like, who said that? I'm not gonna be broke, right? So I'm gonna
I
figure
know that's
this
right.
whole thing out. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Uh-huh.
But I know for some people they're still trying to find their way. So
Yeah.
how did you navigate this and go into being a beauty professional and having basically like three business? You got like four, five
I do.
streams of
So how I came about that, because if you know, in the cosmetology field, when I was young, baby, I was getting it. Okay. I used to leave the salon with drug dealer money. You hear me?
income.
But but what I noticed was I didn't have any time, a lot of time for my children, and I didn't have a lot of time for me.
Mhm.
I was burning the midnight oil, just chasing money, and events happen or whatever. And what I realized, I was never satisfied. I was always chasing and chasing, and it left me with a little bit of depression because I couldn't get full. And so what I did was stop chasing and just do what I wanted to do what I love to do, and then I started attracting instead of chasing.
Can we pause right there real quick?
Uh-huh.
Can you break that down for the listeners? Because some people don't understand when people tell you don't chase the money, find what you love and you'll attract it. What does that
Absolutely.
what does that really look like?
Just you know how they say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, I feel that
So
too. I do.
yes. So you just got to find a way to monetize what you love to do, but not put pressure on it. Like, I love clothes, so it's only right that, okay, I'm gonna sell me and my looks. Of course, we got Sheen, we got Rainbow and Forever 21 and all those things, but you know I like clothes, and people like me. So I could take my personality and my clothes and sell them. I'm a visual artist. I like to paint. And so I paint. And if you want to buy it,
So is
you
that your work
can.
that we're seeing behind you?
No, these are inspirations. I buy other artists, some of my favorite artist paintings,
Mhm.
and then I just they inspire me. So these are some of the local artists from where I'm at that
Mhm.
I just like their work, and it inspires me in my workspace. I'm in my workspace right now. So yeah.
By the way, where are you at?
I'm in Indianapolis. I'm Naptown. The game is on. It's on the line.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for even. She's like, I knew that. I was like, you know what? People gonna want to watch this game. Thank God for replays, and this is only an hour, and we go. It goes by so fast. So I
uh,
really appreciate your time. Shout out to everybody who is tuned in from Facebook. Welcome. Thank you for welcoming me back because yeah, I had to. After I got a little upset and threw a adult temper tantrum. So what up, Leroy? What's going on, me, the Shay Style Journey? That's my sister on the check-in. What's going on, Miss Kim? I appreciate y'all and everybody that's on Instagram. There's so many of y'all right now. I can't call everybody name, but I see y'all name popping up over there. YouTube, LinkedIn, I see y'all too. And of course, I love, that we are so in love with iHeartRadio. Thank you so much for all you guys tuning in this evening. Make sure you're sharing the live. Come on here, give us some hearts, comment, and jump in on this conversation and join us on the virtual couch. Don't be scared. Therapy ain't never hurt nobody. So that part. You
mhm.
mentioned depression, and I also always like to ask people when they come on the show, how has therapy played a role in your journey, and what does therapy mean to you? If you've gone to therapy, not gone to therapy, it really doesn't matter. But what do you think about therapy?
I think a therapy. I'm a person that feels like get what you need. Get what you need. Like some people are into church. That's their therapy. Some people, they. I got an aunt. She go to. She been clean for a lot of years, but she goes to AA meetings. I mean NA meetings still. Um, yeah, just having somebody to talk to. I feel like it's good. We all need a spiritual cleansing and a person that we can dump on or whatever
Or
to help lighten the
we go
load.
see psychics,
I go listen.
or we go see a psychic, baby.
That is so funny that you said that because that was my first time going, and I have been back quite a. I've been back like 2 or 3 times after that. So
Yeah,
she was so good.
she do sound like she's out. Listen, sidebar. I was like, maybe I should get her number.
No, no,
With
she
you.
this girl, she's really really good. So I went back to her. I think one other time. Then I tried somebody else to try to compare notes. But yeah,
Mhm. And it didn't have the same feel.
no, he was good too. He was good too. He had a different perspective. The first psychic, she was talking about things going on in your life, and then the other guy, he was talking about like past lives and stuff like that. So both was fun or whatever, and you kind of get what you need and then leave the rest.
Yeah, that's true. It's like when you read your horoscope. So
Yes.
so I'm thinking, right? One of the questions that I had for you. So as a comedian, right? How do you maintain your authenticity? Right? With so many people in the field, so many different ways that you could go about this while also navigating the business side of the entertainment industry, because I find a lot of artists struggle with being the artist, the entertainer versus also the businesswoman, but you kind of have merged them both, and you're on tour with talent. So how you doing all of that? Because I didn't see on there you had no manager. So do you manage yourself?
I do. I had a manager at one point. It didn't work out. But absolutely, in this business, you got to have talent, but it's also relationships that you build with just promoters. Like I'm a person, because I'm a service provider. I like talking to the people behind the scenes. When I first got into the business, I was meeting all these people I grew up watching on television and stuff like that. You'd be really surprised. Like they say, never meet your idols because some of these people had left a bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, well, do I want to do this because they weird, you know? But I I realized this after talking to people that's behind the scenes or people just meeting people. Uh, those are the people who speak your names in rooms that you're not in. You know,
The weird
and
people are all the people.
no, 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 no. The I don't want to say little people, but the behind the scenes people.
Right,
You know,
right,
those people are more inclined to help you than the celebrities or quote unquote, you know, people that you think would help you. No,
right,
those people before themselves, and you know they're still on the grind. So
right.
it's I learned that talking to, you know, the behind the scenes people or people that you meet in the audience like you and stuff like that, those are the people who I like to develop a relationship with.
That's actually a really good point. So I had ran across this whole concept of like competition versus collaboration.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, jealousy and envy is real. And I think a lot of times people are trying to be very uh, they're trying to maintain their space, their positioning.
Yes.
So if you are coming with something that's not there, even if we don't want to talk about this, right? You can feel threatened. People don't want to actually admit that they can feel threatened, jealous,
Yeah.
envious. And I think that maybe that's why people don't really always want to help you, because you can be successful, but not more successful than me. And if you're going
Well,
to come into jobs I'm possibly going to get, I'm not going to help you take my job.
well, for the most part, I don't feel like that's it because these people are already solidified. I feel like people think that you should struggle like they did. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
yeah, so they're more or less like I had to sleep on couches, I had to sleep in my car, I had to do whatever to get here. You need to do it too. You know, instead of helping the people or being like, well, why would I want you to do that?
Right.
Just, you know, if you're talented, you're talented. But, you know, it's
That's a
whatever.
good point.
I don't feel like anybody owes me anything. So
Right.
I'm grateful for every opportunity.
Yeah, it's so interesting because when we think about the impact it can have on your mental health, that's so many people's story, right? Of
Yes.
homelessness and sleeping in their car and not having anything to eat.
Yeah.
But I often wonder because I hear that more with black entertainers that are making their way up. I don't know that I've heard that same testimony with white folks, but a
Mhm.
lot of the black entertainers have a similar struggle. Like, I didn't have
Yeah.
no money, and I didn't know how I was going to get from one job to the next.
Yeah, and I hate struggle stories. I hate struggle stories.
Do you think because you already had such a solidified career, and being a beautician and having other streams of income, that's why you don't have that same testimony?
I don't have that testimony, but I do have a testimony. I just would rather I would rather count my blessings and see how far I've came than to dwell on that because I don't feel like nobody's story is worse than the other. Maybe except Tommy Davidson. He said he was found in a trash can. Now, baby, that's a lie.
Really? Wow, I didn't even know that about him. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
was
So
he? What? How he end up in the trash can? Somebody threw him in there?
his mom.
Oh, okay. You talking about the baby story? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
the baby story. Yeah, that one.
Oh,
But excuse me,
yeah.
everybody else, you know, I'm like, okay, I know people with similar stories, or you know, everybody has a story. So I just would rather start, you know, at the beginning of the the beginning. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Right there where it all started. So
So, in terms of your online boutique, and is that something you're still pursuing, and still people can shop from you now?
I do. Yes, I am. So I love dressing people. I love giving people a look. And what I learned is people value my opinion. I learned early that my words hold weight and people look to me because I kept wondering why everybody was saying, well, I'm going to ask you because I know you're going to tell the truth. So I'm like, okay, well, now I got to tell the truth, you know. So I learned early on that my opinion matters to some people and that my words hold weight. So they'll come to me for looks, or I had somebody the other day, can you dress me, you know, or whatever. And so that's what inspired that too, you know, to give people, and I'm not the average built chick, and so it's just showing people that, you know, anybody can look good in anything.
That's
Fashion
right.
is taking risk. So
Mhm. And I tell y'all got to go check out her page. I got her Instagram strolling down the bottom at comedy_babe1. She stay fly, y'all.
yes, thank you.
All the time. I ain't seen a look yet that I was like, okay, sis.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
So thinking about the fact of what you do, dressing people and doing all those things. If you had to choose, and I know this is probably one you ain't gonna like, a this or that, would it be comedy or fashion?
I would say comedy because it is fashion is too easy. So comedy is more of a challenge. I like to be
Okay,
challenged.
all
Keep
right.
me on my toes.
I like you already, Comedy Bae, because you're gonna like this next question. Thank you for the segue. Right? What would you say is the biggest challenge you faced as a female entrepreneur in a male-dominated industry?
Just being a female in the male dominated industry, that is in itself is a challenge. What helps me though, I can say honestly say that my career in the beauty industry helped me navigate because I've owned salons, I've owned boutiques, and just being a business minded person in this industry, and that's how I approached it as a business. People don't play with me like that. People do not play with me, and I think how I carry myself too helps navigate that. But for the most part, I've came across some really dope people who you know, who's helped me and booked me and stuff like that. Of course, there's a few that'll try you, you know, or see you as a threat or whatever, but if nobody brought it to my attention, I would not know. You know, like I don't pay that no attention. So I'm just one to count my blessings and count, you know, the wins instead of the losses. Losses are lessons. So
I love that. I love that for you. Now, being so beautiful, sexy, tall,
thank you.
how do you navigate? I know you get hit on all the time. So how do you navigate balancing that? I had saw this post, I think Wallow posted it about etiquette and having certain ethics in when you're navigating the entertainment industry. And one
Yes.
of the big ones was, really maintaining positive relationships, not sleeping around with folks, and keeping your emotions in check and not burning bridges in relationships. So it's interesting you mentioned relationships being at the forefront. But as women, we got to kind of grapple with a whole lot of that. I heard, Queen Latifah talking about it. So many people have talked about it as women, is that having those pivotal points in their career where they had to kind of check a mofo. Have you had
Yeah.
anything like that? And how did you handle it?
I handle stuff with grace. I'm not really a, you know, type of
I mean,
type of
your,
chick.
your comedy be different though. I'm like, oh, she'll get you now. She'll chop you in the neck.
Absolutely, absolutely. But no, just I'm kind of, you know, a little shade and a little, you know, like please, like, you
Boy,
know,
bye. You
boy bye
yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing, you know,
energy.
laugh it off or whatever. But I don't really, I mean, they'll try, but you know, I'm not really that ain't something that I focus on because I feel like they know.
They know
Like,
what they
you
doing.
ever had somebody ugly try to crack on you and you like, for real? You
Yeah,
know better than that.
right,
You know,
right. And,
so
and it's like
so
when they
I'm more
say when you tall or bigger than someone and you already know you got the upper hand in the fight, why even bother?
Yeah. You like,
You know,
okay.
like, all right, you really
Yeah.
just trying to have a moment. I'm gonna let you have that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you
exactly.
have that.
Yeah.
So where do you find your inspiration for your jokes, right? Because a lot of your stuff, like the last one I found, you was talking about people, dating the handicapped people and rolling them around.
Oh, Lord.
So, so where do you find your inspiration?
The beauty shop.
Of
Of course.
course.
Yeah. And a lot of times those experiences don't be mine. I'll just hear or we'll talk about some stuff or whatever. And I'm like, that's a joke. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you gotta keep your ear to the streets, girl. See what the people talking about. And that was one of the things that I found humor in because it's like, you used to be with Ray got shot. Now you handicapped. Now you stuck.
Mhm.
So
Listen, you got to be
I,
a ride or die or a roll or die if you want to call it
now see me, I say that the shooter broke us up. The shooter was a player hater. He did not want us to be together, baby. So
that. No, that's right. So, in terms of like just preparing, I've had the pleasure of watching so many comedians now because of Jonathan Gates.
yeah.
How do you prepare and memorize your material, and just any woman that may be listening that aspires to do what you're doing and make such a pivot from being a licensed beautician and a boutique owner to like, yep, I'm gonna do stand-up comedy seems like such a far-fetched transition.
You would think, but it's not. How many times have you been in the beauty shop cracking up? There's always a character in there. For me, I've always worked in a beauty shop, barbershop, and it's all the way live. And it's the funny people are always the barbers and always the beauticians.
That is true.
So,
When I
so
really
you would
think
think
mm-hmm.
it would be a far fetched, but it's not too far fetched.
No.
But what was your question? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
nope, you got that part.
Oh,
So I'm also a spoken word artist to do poetry. And I
okay.
know, like, I've learned, thank you. Yes. It's a big difference between writing my poetry and reciting it versus memorizing it and performing it. So I have a lot of respect when I go watch shows now, when I see people doing their material, especially people who have material that they do the same way every single time. Or
That's the key though.
that's such a gift. So how did you
That's
know
the
you
key.
had the key, you had the gift, you had the juice, it was in you and not on you?
I have been told my entire life that I was humorous. Entire life. I mean, I can lay some hair, honey. But people always was like, "You missed your calling. You missed your calling." I'm like, "This is my calling with the wigs." But I've always been humorous, but I didn't know that. And I've always been a fan of comedy. Grew up watching Def Comedy Jam, Eddie Murphy, Raw, Delirious, Martin Lawrence, all the things. So I always kind of been a fan of comedy and a student. And so my first time on stage, I formulated it like it was what I've seen. And so from the first time I got on stage and I got booked for another gig, went to that gig, got booked for another gig. So the very first time I've been on stage, I've literally been on stage ever since.
Wow. Wow.
And it's the key to just getting good and getting perfecting your craft is stay on stage, like with the poetry thing. They know that because they memorize that because they keep doing it. You cannot take no breaks.
Listen, don't take your foot off the gas is what she's trying to tell me.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
That's really good advice. I know I've gotten a lot of tips like recite it and like listen to it like I would music, right?
Mhm.
Where you know what the next line is. Do it
Yeah,
with distractions because sometimes folks gonna be
yeah,
cackling and everything. They ain't gonna just give you your attention. So you got to be able to stay focused even if there's a lot of distractions going on around
yeah.
you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's really, 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 really dope. I just love people who do more than one thing, right?
Yeah,
I feel like sometimes you get pigeonholed that you only can do one thing,
yeah.
and people will say to you, "Well, how you doing that?" And that don't make sense. And well, why are you jumping from this and jumping from that? Just pick one thing to focus on it.
No, you
And,
got to know how to pivot.
and I love that you're saying that the things all interconnected, but sometimes people don't see your vision. They
Yeah.
don't see how it all works. But
Yeah.
listen, if you're gonna be on stage, you gotta know how to dress,
Yes.
gotta know how to motivate. You already been talking to people, so that means you ain't shy. You know how to talk to anybody and control a room. So I
Mhm.
can see how it all meshes together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's get into the nitty gritty of tonight's topic. I think we done warmed up the audience. Y'all see who Comedy Bae is about. You see why I picked her for the conversation and all of that good stuff. So now we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna show y'all that we're not only pretty and funny, but we smart too, baby. So let's talk about some of this business stuff. So one of the things I found was that women-owned business in general has just increased. It's just been exploding. So women, get in the business. Don't be scared. But we are still very much underrepresented in leadership and in just overall investment. You'll see that women are still not taking their rightful positions. Why do you think that is? I mean, I got my thoughts, but a lot of it seems to be confidence. So what do you think women especially can do to feel more confident that they can bet on themselves and do what it takes to run a business?
I feel like ain't nothing to it but to do it. I think people are scared of success as much as they are scared of failure. But if you would just do it and put forth the effort, I always tell people who want to be an entrepreneur, if you gave 8 hours to that job, give a few hours for yourself too,
Mhm.
and put in the time and put in the work and like you said, bet on yourself.
Right.
That's what you got to do. And for them and try to find something that you like, something that you're passionate about or something that you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, that's going to make you want to do it even more. So,
Yeah, I think that's really true. One of the things I tell my clients to do is to write down anything you've ever had an interest in, you love to do, maybe thought about doing, but you were scared or didn't think you could make it happen.
mhm,
Things that people have said you're good at, right? I'm giving y'all some tips now. Things that people said you were good at,
that's
things
facts.
that will get asked to do time and time again, but you maybe never thought somebody would pay you for it, right?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are like a lot of good things. And even at jobs that you don't like, what are the things that you do well in the job, the
Yeah.
tasks you enjoy? And that's
Listen.
how I found out that I was actually good at coaching, was that every job I had, I always had like people gravitate to either were telling me their business, I was coaching them or giving them advice. I
Yeah.
just never saw myself being a psychotherapist. So I
Oh,
went into life coaching first, but every job had a element of counsel, advice giving, um, some kind of what am I thinking right now? Consulting type work. It always had elements of that in every role. Even when I
yeah.
managed a bank, there was a level of consulting,
Yeah.
advising, and therapeutic, which my boss used to say, I don't pay you to be a therapist, I pay you to open accounts. So I always had that. But I just never looked at that as an opportunity of what I should have been doing. And I love to talk.
Even if you don't think that you have a talent, sometimes people have a personality. And we're in a day and age where you can get paid off your personality. Open up your phone, talk to that mug, and upload it to TikTok, and
Ain't that
bam.
the truth?
Those people are rich
Eh,
just by being themselves.
Bingo. And I think, a lot of people talk badly about social media and they talk badly about all of the access to AI and all of those things. But when you really think about it, we've been evolving since they first
Mhm.
said information highway,
Yeah.
right? We've been evolving since the calculator. We've always evolved and found ways to do things quicker or faster. There was
Yeah.
a time that having running water was seen as crazy. Having a
Mhm.
light switch was seen as crazy,
Yeah.
right? People were like, what do you mean? We're going to use candles. They like, no, one day you're going to be to come into a room and turn on the light and go, let there be light. Someone said they was absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
And there's no way that's going to happen. It sounds like hocus pocus. I don't want no electricity coming through my house. You're going to
That's a
blow
way
my
of
house
life.
up. So people got to realize every invention at some point somebody thought was ridiculous and people fought against it because it was new, it was different, it was weird. So y'all got to just, understand, be innovative. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to be innovative. Now, other thing about having it all, because this entrepreneurship ain't nothing nice. It's not for the faint at heart.
It's
We have
not.
moments where we feel like we got it all together, and the next minute we're like, oh God, what am I doing? It ain't working.
Yeah.
People trying to play in your face. And a lot of research also says entrepreneurship leads to high stress. This is a side nobody don't want to talk about. They just
Yeah.
see the pretty side, but it's
Yeah.
stressful being everything to your business and doing all parts. How
Yeah.
do you manage that? How do you navigate keeping your mental health together? And I'm one to know that although you look great online, I know you're still a human being in lives,
Yeah.
even if you don't show it. So
Right.
how do you keep the persona and keep everything going? How do you take care of your mental health?
Um, that is a good question. Am I taking care of my mental health, girl?
Girl, we about to find out today. I said before we start, is there anything I can't ask you? You said everything was on the
No,
table.
everything. I'm an open book. Because I deal with a lot, but I'm one to keep myself busy. Idle time to me is the devil's playground. So that's how I cope. I stay busy. I stay moving. And before you know it, whatever I was going through it was a memory. Is a memory. But I just like to tackle things head on. I'm a person that if you got a problem, I have a solution. I don't feel like it's nothing that doesn't have a solution. So if it has a solution, to me, that's easy peasy. I just got to figure out how to get there. Now, some stuff don't. Like right now, I'm dealing with my mom that has Alzheimer's. And so that's something that's kind of frustrating me and bothers me because there's no solution for that, you
Yeah.
know? And so just navigating that with finding humor in it. She put her drawers on backwards. She she just do funny stuff. So,
Yeah. I haven't. I don't think I shared this on air, but my mom is too. Early
oh,
stages of it as well. I don't know what's going on in the water, but
what is
her.
going
I
on?
don't know. But a lot of my family members are dealing with early onset. And she's had a couple of strokes too.
Oh
But
no.
now in her mind, she's like, she gonna go find her, somebody to love her, and she gonna find somebody that she can love because everybody needs somebody to love. And I'm like, who coming to love you, Ma? You wear a diaper.
Let her find love. Don't do
Listen,
mama.
listen.
Don't do mama.
She thinks she talking to Lenny Kravitz and stuff, and she online talking to folks that they ain't real. They catfishing my mama, and she
Mm-mm.
trying to give her money away. Like she just doing a lot of stuff. I'm like, woman, we
Yes.
got to take whole conservatorship of her. She swears she gonna find her a man. I just be like, okay, yeah,
That's
okay.
crazy.
You can't
Yeah.
remember where the deodorant is.
That's my mom. She ain't looking for no man, but she's still trying to drive and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, go ahead, go down the street.
Yeah,
but
it's
you
definitely
know,
it's definitely something. I said to myself, which I had never said this before. I said, now my prayers have changed. Like I just want to be not just able-bodied, but I want to have my mind too now. I
yeah.
wasn't
Oh my
praying for
God.
that before.
Listen. Yes.
I wasn't praying for that before. I just kind of took. So you gotta be real specific with
You
God.
do. You do.
I
I
said
look,
I
we
wanted
took
to
that
be
for granted.
able-bodied and I want to be healthy. I said, but I want to have my mind too. I want to
But
be
my grandmother always said that. She
yeah,
always said that.
yeah. I want to be able-bodied.
Yeah.
Able-bodied. I want to be able to think. But I
Mm-hmm.
send you much love with that. I think as
You
we're
too.
aging, that is like a newfound thing. Your friends are passing away.
Yeah.
Your elders are getting sickly, and they're not just dying, folks. This is why y'all got to get y'all stuff together. Power of attorney, wills, all that stuff. People are
Yes.
not necessarily dying, but they're in a place that they can't take care of themselves or fend for themselves and answer
Right.
questions for themselves.
Right.
And you got to go to court and take control
Yeah.
because you can't just come in and help them. So
Yeah.
all this stuff got me thinking about life a lot different,
Yeah.
I would have to say. Um, Now we didn't talk much about your life. Are you married? You got kids? You single? For all the men that's on here saying she fine, are you dating? What's up? What's the tea?
I have children. I have two children. I have three grandchildren. So I'm a granny, a
No,
gilf,
you're
if
not.
you will.
Oh no,
Yeah.
you did tell us that in your comedy show. You told us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I am in a relationship. Yes.
Okay, sorry, guys. Sorry, fellas. Don't get in a DM. She already taken, but y'all should have known that already. I keep telling y'all. Y'all
Wait
keep
a minute. I was single for a long time. Where was y'all at? Where was y'all
listen.
at?
Do you find that now that you are in a relationship that there's been an uptick of you being hit on?
I feel like it's about the same.
It's about the
It's about
same.
the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
They say when you get in a relationship, they all come out the woodwork.
I know. I don't.
Yeah.
I listen.
So
If I'm in it, I'm in it. I don't see nobody else but you because I'm picky. So if you caught my attention, then you have my full attention. So I don't even outside noise. I can't
yeah,
because if I get distracted, I'm like, oh, a butterfly, pretty, stuff like that. So I have to keep the focus, keep the goal the same,
yes.
whatever. So,
So I'll burn in question. Everybody that's in the chat and everything else. Yes or no? Can you have it all? Passion, career, success, and financial freedom. What do you say?
I don't know if you can have it all, but you can get close to it, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. I do this activity with my clients where it's like I call it the bet on self wheel, and it's like all these quadrants, and you have to rank them from 0 to 10. 10 meaning that it's perfection, right? Like this is your quan. It's at the level that you're like, yes, I'm
Yeah.
nailing it. I got it going on. And then, anything that's an 8 or above, you pretty much are in a good space. That doesn't mean that there's not room for improvement or there wasn't be some changes you would make. But if you got solid 8s, like in terms of your health, your money, your relationships, your
Yeah,
self-care, and a solid 8 is like, you're doing good. I think that's a good place that we
I
can
do.
fall.
So a
Now,
lot of times you don't even know what you know what you want, but you don't know what you need.
mhm,
And so what might be, feel like a 8 over here, you still have a dissatisfaction.
mhm,
And so you gotta be you just gotta count your blessings, and as they come. Like if you start like having boxes to check or whatever, I feel like you still are going to be dissatisfied because those are the things that you want, and you don't know the things that you need until it just, blindsides you. You like, oh yeah, I could have used a little of that.
yeah. I think what you're alluding to is there's a word is called gratitude. All you lovely listeners out there
Yeah,
is to find things to be grateful for, right?
absolutely. Hmm.
And you can be content and still be pursuing more, right? I
Yes,
think sometimes
yes,
if you're pursuing more, you don't know how to be content, you don't know how to be grateful, and how to
yes.
really like count your blessings and acknowledge your wins and your lessons and just how much you've improved, and you're not
Yeah,
where you were. You've already survived 100% of your worst days. You said something else earlier about not living in your trauma and living in your mess. I
yeah,
think if people were to start to see that they're not in that situation anymore, they could find gratitude. But I think sometimes just the fact that they went through it, they stay upset about the fact that they went through it. And they keep saying,
exactly.
why me? Why did I go through this? Like,
Professional victims, I call them.
why not you? Why do you think
Right.
you're not supposed to go through nothing?
Exactly. And those people, because I used to be, well, I didn't used to be like that, but I couldn't see the forest for the trees. And so because I would just count tree, tree, tree. And then, sometimes you have to take a look back and look, yeah, there's trees, but there's also a beautiful forest.
Mhm.
And so though when you're nitpicking like that or looking for problems like that, then you can't see the big picture and you can't have gratitude.
And you find you get what you're looking for.
Yeah,
So let's go.
exactly.
So we're
Exactly.
gonna go
Go-
into bet on self moment. Can you believe
Okay.
we only got 9 minutes left to the show? It be
Okay.
going
That
by
did go
fast. I
fast.
told you, go by real quick. So bet on self moments. Again, inspired by Kenneth Austin, this being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. All my shows this month are dedicated to my dad.
Oh,
But bet on self moments. Those are those defining decisions where we choose healing, growth, or change, even when it's uncomfortable. So a bet on self moment, either past, present, or something in the future that Miss Comedy Bae got that she about to, have to put all her chips out there on herself. Tell us about one.
um, this shows that I do on theater stages where I'm the underdog.
Mm,
And so I have to, and they may only give me like 10 minutes, you know? I have to take those 10 minutes and make those the hottest 10 minutes I gotta spit hot fire in that 10, because so those people remember me, because the people who are going after me are big name people. And so I have to make sure that they remember me, my outfit, my whatever I'm saying, and the whole package. So I'm betting on myself that I'll be remembered
Yeah,
after.
they gonna know Comedy
They
Bae,
gonna know.
right?
Yeah,
You had mentioned in your bio that you want to be remembered as one of the queens of comedy.
absolutely.
Do you feel like you've already achieved that, or you feel like that's still something that's in the horizon?
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I can see
Absolutely.
that. You
Yes.
definitely got that star power, baby. You take over the
It's,
stage when you come. I said, Jonathan, where you
thank you.
find her at? I said, she good. I like her.
Thank
I said,
you. Yeah.
Can you bring her back? So, you know, the last and final thing that we talk about, which is Coach's Corner. And Coach's Corner is just an opportunity for us to reflect on this entire conversation that we've had
Mhm.
thus far, and thinking about folks that are really trying to carve their own way. That maybe feel like, you know what, I can't have multiple strings of income. I have to be only here. Or I only can do this. I only do that. Or it doesn't make sense. What is some of the things you would want to say to them in closing as we get ready to wrap up, as we reflect on what we talked about so far? What's your gems? What's your nuggets?
Ain't nothing to it but to do it. If you even thought about it, because I have friends, they always say, like, everything you say you do it. Yeah. So if it's a thought in your mind or a passion that you have or just an idea, and a lot of times people be like, oh, everybody's doing that. I'm not going to start doing lashes. Everybody do lashes. I'm not going to start a home health care. Everybody do home health care. So what? Be the 101st one. It's money out here for everybody, for every idea. Even if you think that somebody couldn't use it, they could use it. I'll be on TikTok shop, baby. I'm like,
Listen,
they make
I didn't even know about TikTok shop. Okay. I was
Yes,
like, wait a minute. And they out there and creating lanes,
yes,
tutorials, live reviews of products. I mean,
yeah,
people have really, social media has opened up so many avenues and lanes. And now with this AI and this chat GPT,
yes,
you really have no reason not to go and bet on yourself, or at least
right,
give yourself a good shot at it, right? You're
yes,
always going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And as you've seen in season 7, I've taken you through taking a step back, looking at how did you come to think the way that you think? How did you get the behaviors and the ideology that you have, and the ideas and the visions that you have, and whose voice are you really listening to? So you can understand where that came from. And then it's like, okay, well, how do I work through reframing those thoughts, right? That mirror work and encouraging yourself. And now we're trying to give you some hardcore things like, what do you do well? What do you love? If you cook well, if you're a great driver, if you do lawns good, if you do hair,
right.
don't allow people to make you think that that's something that you couldn't actually make a living off of, because it don't make sense to them.
Yeah,
That's what I would say tonight's conversation is about, because so many people are not happy because they don't know what their purpose is. They feel
right.
like they don't have a vision. They feel like life is just happening to them, and they just ended up in this dead end job or this dead end marriage, or they just ended up doing these things.
Yeah.
And then they sit there and they go, excuse my, I don't want to do none of this shit.
Mhm.
How did I end up here? None of this stuff is making me happy. I don't like the person. I roll over. I look at him. I'm like, how did I end up married to you? How did I end up with these kids? How did I end up in this job? And I just think it's because so much of it is perpetuated on you. And
Right.
sometimes you really got to sit down and ask yourself, why do you want the things that you want?
Yeah.
Where did these ideas come from? So I'm just super excited to meet people like you that are going against the grain and being innovative and entrepreneurial and not doing it the way everybody said you were supposed to do it, which made me curious to just want to know more about you. And so I think you are really living up to what you wanted. People are going to remember you because I sure the hell did.
Thank you.
Right. And I sure told people, I said, she was so beautiful. And it's funny, you hate that, but I was like, she was. People like pretty people. That make them want to talk to you and listen to you. You know this. You're in the beauty industry.
Yeah.
You look good, feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
You come with more confidence. And guess what? People will actually be attracted to want to hear what you have to say. The main thing is, do you have something to say once you get their attention?
Exactly.
That's the most important thing. You don't want to just be pretty and ain't got nothing to talk.
Exactly. Yes.
You better have some jokes, some knowledge, something.
Saying something. Saying something.
Do something. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening to Conversations with Coach La. Next week, I got my co-partner, Mr. James Lambert III, is coming back after a whole year to sit back on the couch to catch me up on where we've been up to and what's going on in his world. Want to give much love to Comedy Bae for coming and sitting with us. Check her out. Go follow her at comedy_Bae1. Everybody on Instagram, Facebook, you know, my Urban Heat family. I love y'all. iHeartRadio. I'm just waiting for the little, you know, ID to pop in here. So I'm just dropping. You got any shout outs until they say, welcome to the Urban Heat. I'm waiting for the little thing. It's coming any second now.
Shout out to everybody listening. Shout out to if you follow me on my journey. I talk to me. I talk back.
Yes,
so,
she really does.
Yeah.
It was all in her comments responding. I love that though. I love that you're interactive with your page. She definitely not Hollywood. So approachable. And I'm wishing you all the best. I'm loved with your mom. But I can't wait to see this Queens of Comedy tour that you want, because I'm going to be right there with some tickets in the front row, cheering my sister on. And I hope we can stay connected to years to come. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Nancia, Smokehouse, it's the Urban Heat. Shout out to Coach La. Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m.